Good morning, everyone. It's cold here this morning. I got my fireplace running. Um, the I mean it's like 49 here where I'm at, and it's not well. It's supposed to get up into the 70s this morning, but I still having my coffee and uh, trying to wake up and contemplate and figure out what I'm doing for the day. I did Oh, I had to force myself to get up and go get my clothes washed yesterday and picked up some stuff for my son. Um, like I said, he's moving, and I'm trying to help him out as much as he'll allow me to. He won't let me do too much for him because I guess because he feels like I'm old or that's my opinion, but I think he thinks that he honors me. He's honoring me by not um, expecting anything out of me. But I don't know. People all have their own thoughts and they have their own ways of living and stuff. But I did get my clothes washed and now I'm gonna have to find another solution. That's all there is to it because um, getting in and out of this driveway in the wintertime might be hard for me. Now, in my younger days, I wouldn't have cared. I'd have zoomed up and down through here um, if the snow would let me. But I I'm trying to prepare for winter time now, and which actually I've been doing that all summer because the first winter and the second winter. Now, the second winter wasn't as bad as the first, but living out in the country is great for being in nature and things like that, and being able to not be so congested with a bunch of people around. Now, I do have family here, and that's nice. I've got my daughter and her husband and two of my great grandkids that she's a guardian over, and they live in the big house. And of course, I'm here in the camper, and then there's another trailer that my daughter put down a little along the driveway where I'm at, and one of her sons and his partner's there with two children, and they're getting ready to have another one. So, and then my son is down below in one of them tiny sheds that you build into a home. Well, I see now. One of the things that I've been learning is, and through my own self actually, is that everybody can't live the same as everybody else. I mean, we all have our specific needs and stuff. And he was he lived most of his adult life, well, and actually his younger years too, in a city. And once you learn living styles and stuff the way you want to, well, then some people just can't walk out of that. They just don't have the I don't even know want to know what to call it because it's like there's no desire in there to go in another direction like he's been trying to do down there, and of course he had a fire the first month or two that he was in there, and he was trying to heat with a wood burner, which you gotta have some real expertise. Um, at least a lifetime of living like that, I suppose. I don't know. I know I tried it a while, and not here, but in my younger years um, with my ex husband, not the children's father. We'll talk about that another time, but he taught me how to have a wood burner. But I did have a coal stove way back in the younger years, and that was horrendous to try to stay warm. But anyway, he tried that down there, and it's just not for him. And I can understand that. But it's a lot of hard work, and he has a, lupus anticoagulant. I think that's how you say it. And he gets blood clots real easy, and of course it'll clot up his heart and things like that. So he has to be careful. So, but he found another place finally. I mean, I think he felt bad because he he just couldn't do it like somebody else could do it. I mean, um, just because um, one sibling could probably do it, don't mean the other sibling can do it. So keep those things in mind. It's just there's different aspects to it that some people just can't grab their brain around it and make it happen. And then down in the other house is my daughter's and son-in-law's other son, one of the other sons, and the other one lives over on another property of their own. But there's people here, and so there's a few of us that have to use the same driveway. So for me getting in and out is going to be if it snows real bad. So I'll have to take my trash down at the end of the like I do now. Now my son would help me if I needed it. If I said, he did last year when I first got the trash. He helped me when he could, and so. But now I've taken it upon myself to take the trash down, and right now I can do that. I just get in the car and drive it down. Wintertime now, that's going to be another story, and about going out and getting my clothes washed. By the time I got through yesterday, I was exhausted, and the um, laundromat that I went to was resold to somebody else, and naturally they upped the prices, which they have to. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, the water prices to run the washing machines and the gas that it takes to run the dryers, it's they have to raise them up so they can survive. So it took me. Well, let's see. Well, I didn't want to because I have to be careful about those machines that you you put the detergent and stuff in the dispensers, and I'll get some of that residue from somebody else's clothes. I mean, when they're washing their clothes in uh, fabric softener and stuff like that. So I have to be careful. But if I'd used one of the other little washers and I had enough clothes, it would have cost me $9 to do it that way. So I just used the bigger one that cost me $6, and then the other ones cost me. I used two of them. It was $2 for each dryer, which gave me 32 minutes. Well, I didn't know how to operate them, so the one I put I put more money in it than I needed to, and that's how it's set up. You can just keep putting money in it, and it keeps showing a thing across there. I'm short and trying to look up there and see what's going on, and that. Well, anyway, needless to say, I got my clothes washed. And I got some, I brought some in last night when I come home, and I left the others out in the car. But so there's something, and now there's a solution, and I'm going to have to come up with to uh, make my life easier. And when you're younger now, it's easier to just do things the hard way, I guess, if that's the way you want to say it. Um, but I've been getting some questions about the camper, and I know I showed you the electrical system and stuff, and we'll get into that more and more. But um, somebody asked me how big the camper is. Well, it's 30 feet by 8 feet wide, and I have a slide out in the kitchen living room area. So I suppose that gives me like 300 square feet. Now that does seem like a lot, but once you get, if it had stayed as a camper and I hadn't disassembled all the beds, um, I wouldn't have been able to put the stuff in here that I got in here now. And I eventually want to put thicker carpet down here because it gets pretty cold in here in the winter. Now my son last year skirted it for me. My son-in-law had at his work. I don't know if somebody throws things away up at his work, and he brought home some skirting, and so he and my son put it up for me around there. And there's still some spaces that uh, I need to re I don't know how mend because the chickens and stuff and the animals and stuff get up and under there. But anyway, that's how long the camper is and how big it is. So it's like 300 square feet. But by the time you get everything in, it don't look that big, but it looks cozy once you um, fix what you have, and it's what's best for you. Somebody else might come in here and see it totally different and say, "Well, I need to do this or I need to do that for me to live in here comfortably." So, and then another question I got was, um, what do I do when the toilet backs up, or who do I call and stuff? Well, that started out as a trick for me. I mean, I had to learn all the ins and outs of a camper to begin with. Campers that have never been disassembled underneath like you have the hot water tank, you have uh, water that goes in there, whether it be gas or whether it be electric, but that's inside. Now, underneath the camper, you have a gray water tank, and I'm not sure how big this one is. I haven't got all the details. I haven't got the title yet. Um, and it has a black water tank, but the black water tank is where all the gook and stuff goes into. Well, I tried the first year to uh, do it different, and since those and then well, hey, let me go back. Those tanks are underneath there, and then there's a there's a place that comes out that where, like, if you're out camping or someplace like that, and you need to empty those two tanks, you take it to a place and you hook your hose up to it, and you drain it all out into another uh, company's place, which I believe you have to pay for. But we just hooked it straight up to their sewer line here, and the first year I was here in the wintertime, um, it froze with toilet paper and all that kind of good stuff in the tank. So we had to unthaw that, and then that was my son-in-law that did that. Now, the poor man is just so busy with helping everybody around him. I mean, it's just not his own family, direct family, that he has to take care of. He helps his mom and dad, which lives across the road from where we're at, and his brother moved down here and with his family, and they're all over there too. So, um, and then of course his two sons here, which now they're adding on to this trailer because they're having another little baby, and the trailer itself wasn't big enough, so they're adding on. So, along with his job, which he works 6 days a week, and has to be up early in the mornings to be to work by 6, and gets home um, early afternoon around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. Rests a couple minutes, and off he goes getting his work done. So I try not to put any more burden on him than necessary. Now, if I try to do something myself and I fail, um, then I have to turn to somebody else. And if my son is not able to do it, then my son-in-law is the only person I've got. Now, my brother was helping me, but he's he's having heart issues, so he's going to be going and getting surgery. So I try to do everything myself. So basically, what I've done, I quit putting the toilet paper in the commode, and it's a regular camper commode. It's not your regular one that goes in houses and stuff like that. Which naturally I've been thinking about going composting, but again, you have to have the room to do that. In the bathroom, the way it is right now, um, that in order to do the different things that needs to be done, that's going to make things life easier for me and everybody else. It takes somebody a one-time deal to do it. So I'd have to take that commode out of there and put my composting in there. And as far as trying to get um, a washer, which I could do with just a washer, I wouldn't need the dryer. But I have to watch the wattage because the camper only does 30 amps, and I'm trying to conserve the electricity, not only for myself but for my daughter and her husband. But don't want their electric bill to go up, so I have to be I have to be frugal. I have to be intentional and look for, and it takes work to do internet surfing to find these different things and these different avenues that you can use to make your life easier. So I have to, if that's what I want, and I want a washer that I don't have to try to get out and pay an arm and a leg for washing my clothes, and I have to put some work into it. I have to put some diligence into it. And then I have to find somebody that I can get that I can trust, because everybody out there says, yeah, I'll do the job, and they expect to get paid for it, don't do the job. So you have to be wise in knowing who would do it and who wouldn't, and that they don't charge and take advantage of you and all that kind of things. So I quit putting toilet paper in the, um, and I have to wrap it up and bundle it up, and I put it in my trash when I put the trash out. So um, that's what I do for that. Now, if you're going to I mean, if anybody's thinking about doing camper living, then you especially if it's used, but you still got to know the ins and outs of it before you go trying to live in it, because that's like, I didn't know that there was two switches on the drainage that would because there was two tanks. So you had two handles that you had to open up in order to let the tanks drain out. Well, one night I'm here and water's coming all over the place, and here the gray water tank had overflowed, and it was coming out from underneath my tub, and running all over the place. So my son-in-law, run down and opened it up so it would drain out. So I just keep them both open now, and to take them off, that would be a dilly. And if I took them off, then if I turn around and try to sell, people might want the tanks on. I could save them, or whatever, but again, I have to get somebody to do that. And I don't want people that's not getting paid to have to get under there and all that gook and stuff, and try to take them off. So there's a lot of things that you got to think about before you make any kind of decisions, because before you make any kind of move or choices in life. That's just the way it is. Now, in my younger years, I don't even think I thought. I mean, I thought, well, I'm going to go do that, but I didn't reason anything out or anything like that. It was like I was a child. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. But right now, that's what I'm doing with there's the size and the questions that people have asked me about. Uh, um, so basically, I, I I call on my son-in-law and my daughter, uh, and or my brother, and of course my son. But my like I said, my son and my brother have health issues right now, so I try not to bother them. And my son has issues of his own as far as uh, having a place to live that's comfortable for him. And he's got to think about himself, and I expect him to think about himself. Just like I gotta take care of me. We're all responsible for ourselves. So again, I've got to find solutions, and if I need somebody to help me out, I've got to know that I'm going to have to pay somebody more than likely. So I don't want to bother my already so busy son-in-law, and so that's the name of the game. That's just the way it is. And and then of course there's my little kitchen area right there. I don't know. It's probably like 8 feet long, and it's got the kitchen sink. It's a double sink, and it's got the gas stove there. But I and I had the old microwave up, and I couldn't reach it, so I got me a smaller microwave. And there was no point in putting it back up in there because I wouldn't be able to reach out any easier. So I put it alongside of the sink over there, and it just fit right there. So and it's plugged in a different circuit than what my fireplace is. But I still go over and turn it. I turn this off before I use that. I'm a little bit scared to try it out a little bit. I mean, I don't know why it'll just trip the electrical circuit, and I'll have to go back on and turn it back on. But so that's all right there, and I got my little crock pot sitting on top of the microwave, and I put my paper towel dispenser underneath the countertop there. So I've got everything all condensed as far as the kitchen goes right there. And then over here in the corner behind me, I have my round table. I call it my round table, where all the Three Musketeers and the Knights of the Round Table, that's where we sit and have coffee talk. But and sometimes I eat over there. Sometimes I just sit right here and eat. while I'm watching television or something. But and then of course in the closets they built and put in here in the bedroom. Now there's one that underneath where the breaker box is at, and it's bigger than the rest of them, but I, and it's longer like this, and I can put my longer outfits and stuff and hanging in there. But the trouble with those closets in there, I can't reach them. So as far as I'm concerned, they're in my way. But again, they're there, and again, the same old scenario is to have them taken out, and where would I put them, and how would I dispose of them, and uh, I could probably take them down, but then again, I have to be careful with my legs and stuff, and I have, there's not much room in there around the bed with them in there, and then on top of that, there's not much room around the bottom either. So I gotta be careful. Um, so when I first moved in here and we started dismantling stuff, I had my brother take this one little closet out here, and we fixed it up so I could hang my clothes in there. So, and there are a couple drawers in there by the bed that I put like my night clothes and stuff like that, things that I might need in the middle of the night, like socks and stuff like that. Um, but I'm thinking I'm probably gonna have to get me some sort of a portable washer, and I've been looking into them. Now, if I can don't have to tear anything out, I would have to find a place to store it if I got it, because you can hook them up to your kitchen sink and wash right there. So that's one of the things I'm thinking about, and I'm also thinking about getting a composting toilet that I don't have to worry about water overflowing from the toilet, which those all toilets overflow one way or another, whether you want to believe it or not. Because I come home one day where I went to use this commode in here, and I sit down and I thought, well, wait a minute, I got wet. Well, here from the last time when I flushed it, which you just push down on a pedal, and that lets the water come in, and it dumps the waste down in the tank. Well, apparently it kept running and it filled up. And when I went to sit down, so you got to be careful about stuff like that. So you got to be very diligent, and you got to be aware of things that are going on around you. That's just even if it's only in your little world. So that that is the gist of the questions that people was asking about the camper and stuff. And I eventually I would like to have solar, and I've been doing a lot of research on it. But again, I'm in an area where at wintertime you're going to be lucky if you get much sun at all. So uh, do I need uh, do I need solar panels that are going to be strong enough and big enough to get me the energy that I need in the cold winter months with cloudy skies and stuff like that. So there's just so much to think about and um, research on, and do what's best for me. Like I said, now this kind of life is not for everybody. Living in a tiny house, now that might be a little bit different because it's already set up with electric and everything. But again, with the way the electric goes out, our electric went out here the other night, and luckily I had already bought me one of those little lamps that you plug in and charge up when it runs out of charge. I had that. Well, I did have some candles, but I had that light. Now, if it had been cold in here, I mean, if it had been cold outside, Then the only heat I had would be the gas that was on top of the stove. So you have to be diligent. I'd have to make sure that tank is filled out there, which that's coming real soon. and But if I'd have had even a gasoline generator, which now for me, some of them are hard to pull and get them started. So would that be right for me? A man would be able to do it a lot better than me, especially the younger men. And so the solar, I would have to look into that and know that I was going to have um, enough solar energy running into the unit itself. So there's just so many things, and so even if you had a house, my daughter and them have a house up there, and they were without electric too. So if it had been cold, they'd have been a little bit colder. So anybody that um, wants to go tiny, and even if you have a bigger house and you don't want to go tiny, it still would be to your advantage or anybody's advantage if you have a big house to try to declutter as much as you can, because clutter can mess with your brain and make you miserable and stuff like that. So you got to live what's best for you. Now, some people could do this. I mean, everybody could do it. But why be miserable if you don't? If it's not working out for you, and you want more and need more than just a roof over your head and a place to lay down and a little place to stay warm, but if it makes you miserable, that's not life. That's not living. Yeah, life was meant to be lived, and enjoy it. So everybody's different. Like I said before, there's 8 billion different perspectives on this planet, and they all see life differently, and they need different uh, ways and styles to live life, to live good life, to be content. I don't believe we were put here on this earth to be miserable. Now we can all make ourselves miserable to one extent, even if we have everything we need by what we got running through our mind and stuff like that. But that's for another time. So I'm gonna let y'all go. I hope I answered some of you guys' questions about the camper. But if you need to know anything else, well, the steps. The steps is hard to get in and out now. I may have to find another solution for my dog because she's she's almost totally blind, and it's hard for her to judge going down the steps. And the steps have little holes in them, and when she gets to a certain point, she stands there and thinks about it, and then she jumps all the way out. Or if she hits part of it, then she breaks a toenail. And so that worries me for her. She's 95 years old, and that's hard on her. Now, I took responsibility for her, and 16, 17 years ago, I took responsibility for her, and it's up to me to make sure she has a pleasant life too. So now I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. It's going to be hard on me making sure that I have to walk out, and I have to hurt and be in pain trying to get out, especially in the wintertime. to make sure she gets down out of here safely. So there's a lot of things you got to think about before you make any kind of move, whether it be going tiny, whether it be going into a camper or an RV, um, building a van that looks beautiful on the inside, and you think it's going to work when it's against the law to be homeless, and that's what they would say that you were homeless because it's not a residence. Um, am I close enough to the store if I can't get out? There just a whole myriad of things that you got to think about, that whether it's going to fit your lifestyle. Now, if you have no other choice, then you have to learn to deal with it. You have to learn to accept it until you can make it better. So I'm glad you're all here. I'm glad to hear from y'all, and I get mad at myself when I say y'all. I'm I'm not from the South, really. I was born in Florida, but I was only there a couple months. I've lived in South Carolina a little bit. I've lived in Florida, so I don't know why I say y'all, but I'm glad y'all are here, and you've all been so kind to me and everything. And um, I don't see what you see in me at all. I mean, I, I'm I'm just silly. I'm just silly. But anyway, well, one day I'm going to try to um, start another channel about reading and stuff like that. So, but that's for another time. So we'll talk to you, and you have a great day. And if you think you can, or if you think you can, if you believe you can, if you believe you can't, you're right. And Wayne Dyer says, change the way you think, you'll change your life. Y'all have a great day now. I love y'all. Bye bye.